What does it mean?
Good afternoon, everybody. Very good to see you again. And today I have a guest, Michael Szymanowski, who's a very, very fine pianist.
It's great pleasure and
Okay, and I
it's
have to ask you
good to
first
see
of
you.
all, because your name's Szymanowski, are you any related to any of the family Szymanowski?
Yes, actually, Karol Szymanowski is my father,
I
but
see.
he is also a composer, but it's not that one from Tymoszówka. But my father is a jazzman and he plays on vibraphone, and I
Oh,
am a
really?
pianist and conductor.
I
So
see. Right.
it's a very common question. Everybody asks me
Well, of
about
course
that.
they would. Why wouldn't they? Nobody ever asks me that question about my name. Right. Well, I would like to go on immediately because this is rather short studio, I think, today. Um, to yesterday afternoon, the last two in the second stage. The first lady was Polina Kulikova from Russia, and I was very taken with her recital. It was extremely skillful and very beautiful, and I think we could like to hear how it opened because it was probably some of the best Haydn I've ever heard, I think. It was full of joy, affectation, humour, every quality one associates with Vienna at that time.
I totally agree. I
Mm.
was not in the concert place, but I was listening online, and I totally agree with you.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it's good to hear a bit of.
We'll hear the beginning, yes, hear the beginning of the sonata. Yes, you see, the thing that I think a lot of young people, young pianists find difficult is putting themselves into the period that the music was written. Because you have to do this, otherwise you can't really distinguish yourself from other pianists if everyone is at much the same level of technical ability and getting around the notes. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah, and this is very important to understand pieces which you are going to present, especially in a competition like here in Ignacy and Paderewski piano competition, where
Mm,
the
mm.
choice of the program is so huge. You are very free to choose whatever you want, and
Yes.
you feel comfortable and strong enough to play. So we have lots of various pieces in the semi-finals because we are now in a Philharmonic Hall of the Pomeranian Philharmonic,
Yes.
and especially in this competition, this really
Because actually,
matters.
they are awarded points for the design of the program
Yes, it's in
because
the
so much of
rules.
it is
Yes,
free, the free design. Yes, um, she also played in her recital some Paderewski, of course, as they were required to, and also Stravinsky's Petrushka, which was for me rather a more sensitive performance rather than a big masculine effort. And I enjoyed it, but unfortunately her recital didn't persuade enough people to take her into the semi-final. The one who followed her, Daria Kisileva, was rather a spectacular pianist. Did you see this online also?
yes. Actually, I know her quite well
Uh
because
huh.
we took part in some competitions together.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so
Right.
I really kind of cross my fingers for her, and I'm very happy she's in a semi-final because she is really kind of special pianist, and she really take care of details, and she's searching for
Yes.
lots of qualities in music. So even online, it was really um, very, very good performance.
Yes, because
and I
I
really
thought
enjoyed it.
we could listen to two contrasting things. She played the Debussy in English, it's Footsteps in the Snow, which was extraordinarily atmospheric and created a sort of uncanny atmosphere within the actual hall. You wouldn't have experienced that online, but I did, sitting there.
Well,
So-
actually, I also really enjoyed it because she composed the whole program as a one recital.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so
yes.
she didn't have any rest between the BC Prelude and Sonata by Prokofiev. It
That's
was
right.
kind of introduction, and I find it very interesting, and I think not only me, but also other listeners.
Yes, because the Prokofiev is really about the anguish of war, and the Debussy is about the peace of nature.
Hmm.
So let's listen to a little bit of the Debussy Footsteps in the Snow. Yes, I mean, the thing is, the tone she produced was so remarkable in that piece compared to a completely different type of timbre she produced in the Prokofiev. There was a big contrast. This was an impressionistic, and the other was much more of an aggression, abrasive sort of tone, I think. Shall we go straight into the vivace movement of the Prokofiev sonata, as she did? Yes, so we heard the sonata again today, didn't we? But it didn't have quite the bitter anguish that she brought to the sonata. Would you agree?
That's true. Today it was much more kind of powerful. We could say Russian, but yeah, you know what I mean. I would say I prefer more colorful, more instrumentated, more orchestral version
Okay,
of this
yes, yes.
this piece. Lots of imaginary, and even online it was very interesting.
Yes. Well, it's the end of the Paderewski section, if you want to look at it like that. There will be no more Paderewski played because, unfortunately, contestants very rarely choose the concerto to bring to the finals.
Or his sonata or variations.
It's very rare. So what I would like to do now is just have a little chat about Paderewski. Could you tell me, what did you think about the Paderewski performances?
Here in the competition. For me, it's hard to say because I didn't listen to every contestant, and I think from one hand, everybody needs to play those pieces, but because it's compulsory, some contestants just prepare this because they need to do it. They didn't play for their heart, and I find this music very charming, very also kind of simple, very solemn music, and it's important to remember about that. There are pieces of the end of the 19th century because Paderewski stopped composing after 1907, after writing his symphony. During the war, he just wrote some songs for the military, but actually he was a composer of the last decades of 19th century.
That's
So this
right.
music,
I mean, this was before the terrible horrors of the First World War, when people were far more, well, you might say, civilized, and their behaviour in society was completely different to ours, which has suffered so many wars. And do you have a favourite person? I do. We could probably mention it now because there is a Paderewski Prize. So it's not in the middle of the competition. Who do you think was playing it most idiomatically, would you say?
I know who you think was that person. So I think it was Kamil Pacholec.
Yes, I think I agree with you, actually. I think that's exactly the person I had in mind myself. All right, so we move on to a couple of pianists from today. The one we mentioned just a minute ago about who played the Prokofiev Sonata, but before that, Sergei Belyavsky, Russian pianist. We are going to play something from him, which he plays Liszt extremely well, in my opinion, and we're going to play the scherzo, or a little section of the scherzo from the Liszt that he played today, this morning. Yes, so that was the Liszt, and
He's definitely a big format pianist.
Yes.
He liked to present in a list, and apart from that, he also played a Carnival by Schumann.
We can see we're having a real live transmission here with people getting ready for the concertos this afternoon. All right, and for the last part of our particular presentation, I chose Pacholec playing the the Chopin Sonata. This was the Opus 58.
Yes, the final of the sonata, the fourth movement.
Yes, the fourth movement. It has this headlong, driven, wonderful rhythm that seems to be unstoppable. But towards the end, he brought the tempo back just so slightly, which even emphasized more the drama of the rush to the conclusion.
I think we can say that the whole sonata was very, very good and very in style and very poetic. We both enjoyed it very much. So the final was the
I thought
creme de la creme of the sonata.
Because the Largo, which is so difficult to hold together,
that's true.
He made it a very coherent movement, if I remember.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, let's listen to that, shall we? So, we have a rather short studio today because they want to use this area for rehearsal of the orchestra, or setting up the orchestra, I think, actually. You may have heard this while we were talking. But I'm looking forward to the concertos very much. It's a very enjoyable part of this particular and unique part of this particular competition, isn't it? I mean,
That's
I don't
true.
know any other competition like this.
Sometimes you have chamber music section, or sometimes they need to play two concertos. But yes, it's I think also very hard for them because while somebody's playing today a recital, tomorrow need to play a classical concerto, and opposite, those who play concerto today need to play the whole recital tomorrow. So it's really kind of, we start to really feel the
But
pressure.
They've also
It's really
most of them
semi-final.
have chosen two concertos. One is 21,
Hmm.
and the other one is the A major. Is it the A major?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
Better for
480.
orchestra. They have time to really play well, and we really look forward to listen to
This
Mozart.
is the famous Elvira Madigan concerto, of course, which everyone knows, certainly who was my age. It was a cult film, and I saw the film recently. It's still very, very watchable, and the music behind it is lovely, because in those days they made films that were far more relaxed in tempo. I mean, today we're looking for special effects. Anyway, enjoy this afternoon online. Please do watch, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.